The Formula One paddock is rocking again. After the disappointing result at the Saudi GP, shocking news has emerged from the Ferrari camp that has put the future of Lewis Hamilton's collaboration with the Prancing Horse team into question. Frederic Vasseur, the team boss, has finally spoken out and revealed a major fact that has been kept hidden from the public. What exactly is going on behind the scenes at Ferrari? Is this a sign that the relationship between Hamilton and his new team is breaking up before it even starts? Let's discuss it. Formula One has just been rocked by surprising statements from two major figures, Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari team boss Frederic Vasseur. After another disappointing weekend at the Saudi Arabian GP, tensions within Ferrari have skyrocketed. Hamilton's adaptation to the SF25 car seems to be getting further and further away from success, and now time seems to be running out. Instead of showing progress after his incredible sprint victory in Shanghai, the Saudi GP has once again exposed the deep problems between Hamilton and his new car. Hamilton did make it into Q3, but just barely, and once again trailed his teammate Charles Leclerc by more than half a second. But it wasn't just the lap time that shocked the F1 world. In his statement, Hamilton revealed something far more astonishing. "I feel like I need a brain transplant to understand this car." Yes, a brain transplant. This sentence is not just a bitter joke, but a reflection of the desperation of a seven-time world champion now trapped in technical confusion, frustration, and extraordinary pressure at Ferrari. According to Lewis Hamilton, it's not just him who is frustrated. The fans are not happy. The team is not happy. And the bosses are definitely not happy. A rare confession from him, frank, brutal, and full of meaning, that illustrates just how tense and heated the atmosphere is at Ferrari's Maranello headquarters at the moment. The pressure is not only from within the team, but also from the public, who have high expectations. The increasingly heated situation finally forced team Principal Frederic Vasseur to speak out. Although he did not directly name names, the direction of his criticism was not hard to guess. Vasseur's message was clear and pointed: the adjustment must come from Hamilton. And it must come now. This is not Mercedes, a place where patience and process can be part of the strategy. At Ferrari, time is a luxury that is never available. The pressure to be competitive right away is not just an expectation, it is an iron law that cannot be negotiated. To make matters worse, Charles Leclerc continues to consistently outperform Hamilton, both in qualifying and during the race. Leclerc's consistent performance not only creates technical pressure, but also hits Hamilton's psychological side. In the eyes of the public and within the team, the comparison continues to reverberate, and so far, Leclerc has the upper hand. The SF25, a car that since the beginning of the season has been promoted as Ferrari's main weapon to reclaim the crown of glory, has instead turned into a personal nightmare for Lewis Hamilton. Instead of being an extension of the seven-time world champion's genius, the car seems to have a mind of its own. Agile and promising in one corner, wild and uncontrollable in the next. Sudden oversteer, understeer that left him skidding with no direction, and inconsistent grip all began to eat away at Hamilton's greatest asset, the calm, confidence, and precision that have always been his trademarks. Each lap felt like a gamble. Hamilton could no longer read his car like he used to. He didn't know if it was going to stick perfectly to the asphalt or if it was going to throw him off the line. The familiar feeling that used to accompany him behind the wheel was now replaced by a gripping alien sensation. Ferrari had tried to remedy the situation by bringing a number of upgrades to Jeddah, with the main focus on stabilizing the chassis. But the result? Far from expectations. Instead of bringing Hamilton closer to a solution, the changes left him feeling like he was back to square one. "All the learning I did in Bahrain just disappeared," Hamilton complained, in a tone that suggested mental exhaustion and confusion that could no longer be hidden. There was no hiding the frustration. It seeped into every practice session, seeped into the tone of his voice over the team radio, and appeared very clearly in every post-qualifying interview. His face may have remained calm, but his head was rumbling. A living Formula One legend was now trapped in a vortex of uncertainty, not because he was not fast enough, but because his fighting equipment could no longer be trusted. Now the internal comparisons within Ferrari are increasingly striking, almost unavoidable. Charles Leclerc seems to have become one with his team and his car. He is calm, precise in every corner and understands the characteristics of the SF25 as if the car were an extension of himself. The speed he has is not just the result of talent, but of a deep understanding of the mechanical heart he controls on the track. By contrast, Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time world champion, still looks like a guest in a living room he has not fully recognized. Despite bringing a big name and a wealth of experience, his presence at Ferrari has yet to make a real impact. He seems not to have found the right rhythm, not to have found a way of dialoguing with his new car in the way that Leclerc does so elegantly and efficiently. In the last race, Hamilton had to settle for 7th place on the grid, while Leclerc was 3 places ahead of him. Of course, starting position is not everything. F1 history has shown many times that races can change in a matter of seconds. However, in the context of Ferrari and the pressure that is now beginning to build, this difference in position is not just a number. It is a symbol. A symbol that the heir apparent is leading the way, while the legend is still trying to find his feet in new territory. The truth is, Lewis Hamilton didn't come to Ferrari just to fit in. He didn't leave his comfort zone at Mercedes to be part of an experiment. He came with a clear goal: to win. To take on the final challenge of his legendary career. To rewrite the history of the sport in Ferrari's iconic red and end his journey as a champion, not just a legend. But the reality Hamilton faced at the start of his Ferrari adventure was far from ideal. What happened instead was a repeat of a nightmare, reminiscent of those frustrating years at Mercedes, when the car was no longer competitive and the title chances were slipping away. The difference this time was that all eyes were on him. The public's expectations of the 7-time world champion were sky high, and the time to prove something was much shorter. His age, the pressure of the media, the expectations of the fans, they all stood in his shadow every time he took to the track. And when Hamilton said that everyone is unhappy, it wasn't just a complaint or an emotional post-race comment. It was a sign of something deeper, a pressure-filled atmosphere that had reached boiling point. Behind the scenes, the team was grappling with a new identity, a new way of working, and the pressure to change history in a short period of time. Hamilton's words reflected the mental and emotional state of a team that knew it wasn't where it should be, but didn't know how to get out of it. This wasn't just about lap times. It was about philosophy, vision, and the struggle to unite a legend with a winning machine that wasn't ready. Fred Vasseur had been clear: there would be no drastic changes to the car in the near future. So the only way out was for Lewis Hamilton to adapt. That meant more grueling simulator sessions, poring over every frame of onboard data, and coming to terms with the harsh realities of weekend after weekend under the relentless weight of the global media spotlight. Ferrari's crisis was no longer a pessimistic prediction. It was a harsh reality unfolding before the eyes of the world. A team once known as a symbol of elegance, power, and glory on the Formula One track was now caught in a maelstrom of doubt, pressure, and results that fell short of expectations. The shadow of a glorious past only deepens the frustration with their current performance. And if there is no significant improvement in the next few races, if Ferrari continues to sink into confusing strategies, uncompetitive speed, and disappointing results, then the burden will not be borne solely by Lewis Hamilton, the new world champion who joined with the hope of a revolution. The pressure will spread to the entire team structure, to the engineers, whose solutions are questionable, to the management, which is beginning to falter, and finally on the shoulders of the Principal Frederic Vasseur, who is now in the line of fire. Is this the beginning of a legendary revival that will go down in F1 history? Write your opinion below.